Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Namaste experience. We have some new faces here today and probably some new faces there as well. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the time in which we join to expand and explore and allow the truth to be true. Allow the truth to be true. What a revolutionary idea. To allow the truth to be true. Why would we want the something that is not true, an illusion, to be true, when we could allow the truth to be true? It just doesn't make any sense. At least now we know that. We've come to a point of clarity, of realizing that what we really want is the truth, not illusions. We're able to see far enough and clear enough to see that, to understand that. You know, last night I was watching The Chosen. How many of you have been watching The Chosen? I don't think there is a book. No, it's a television show about the life of Jesus, and it's fantastic. If you haven't been watching it, I highly recommend. You can watch the whole thing on YouTube. And one of the things I like about it is that the Jesus in this series is so relatable, so humorous, so easy to talk to. And yet, at the same time, there is a vision, a clarity. He simply knows. And the apostles who are with him, they're just going along for the ride. They don't really understand what's happening, but they know enough to trust him at this point. I'm on season 2, like episode 4 now. And I realized last night as I was watching this, that it's as if all of us on the planet were born with eyes, and yet we don't have the ability to see. Like the eyes have been somehow shut or blindfolded, and yet one comes along who can see. Let's say he's the only one whose eyelids have opened. The rest of us exist in the world not realizing that we can't see because we've never actually seen. Does that make sense? If you've never actually seen through your eyes, you don't know what that means. And yet one comes along who has that ability. And we simply learn to trust that one. And that one then is able to open the eyes of others, and now they can see. And then they go out and share that same message of love, and more people begin to open up their eyes. Now, some open their eyes and then close them again because it's more comfortable to live in the illusion or to not have clear direction. But that's what struck me as I was watching The Chosen last night, that there was one, we'll say Jesus, though there have been many now, there was one who came into the world with his eyes wide open, challenging us to open up our eyes and to see what's always been right in front of us. Now, when you do have the experience of whole-mindedness, or we could say enlightenment, the first thought that's going to enter your mind, I promise, is, you mean that's always been there? Nothing changes. We've used the analogy of the glasses. The first time I put on a friend's glasses when I was 18, it's like, you mean it's always been this clear? I thought that fuzzy was how the world was. And it is. And it was only when I put on the glasses that I realized, no, it's not fuzzy, it's clear. But I had to adjust the way I was seeing. And this is what I was experiencing in the show last night. Clear vision, right direction. I was also just remembering a moment ago a funny experience that I had many years ago when I was visiting a good friend of mine in Munich, in Germany. And he had lived with me in Chicago at one point, then he went back home and I was there, so we were hanging out. And we were walking around downtown Munich. And we decided to have a little experiment. He wanted to pretend like he was an American and couldn't speak German. So the two of us would walk up to people on the street and we would say, "Sprechen Sie English?" They say, "Yeah." Of course, they all speak English. And we would say, we're a bit lost. Can you show us how to get to the train station? Oh, yeah. And then they would tell us, you go here, then you go there, you turn there, then you'll be there. And almost every time, as soon as they would walk away, my friend Robert would say, "That's not even true. That is not how you get to the train station." And he was just so amazed that no one was giving us right direction. And if you're not given right direction, you're never going to make your way to where you want to go. You're never going to find the train station. You have to find one who really knows, who really has been there. Now, we call that one the Holy Spirit. We have to listen to the right direction that is always being given to us. And so I want to read a lesson that came through on the Master Teacher Within series, all about that. So here it is. You will know yourself to be whole when you offer yourself true direction. When you offer yourself true direction, rather than the split direction that you've offered yourself until now. The split direction is basically giving direction to yourself when you can't even see it. You don't really know, but you make it up in your mind. You make up a whole world in your mind instead of realizing the simplicity of the path, of how to get to the train station, you could say. So once again, you will know yourself to be whole. Isn't that what you want? Isn't that what we all want? To have an experience of our wholeness. When you offer yourself true direction, as opposed to the split direction that you've been offering yourself to now. Truth, this is very key. Truth moves only in one direction, not two. Your ego refuses to accept this because its entire thought system is based on the illusion of two. That's very important. The ego's whole thought system is based on black and white, right and wrong, good and bad, two different directions. But in reality, there's only one direction. We're going to hear more about that as we go. Trying to reconcile these two opposite views of reality has led you to see a world that is not real. Trying to reconcile the difference between one and two, or right vision and illusions, that has led you to see a world that is not real. All I'm saying is stop trying to reconcile the irreconcilable. When you give up trying to reconcile the two, the truth just appears on its own. Choose to see and you will see. Choose to dream and you will dream. Dreaming an unreal world into existence has led you to believe that your choice of illusions has power. That's important. Dreaming an unreal world into existence has led you to believe that your choice of illusions has power. It doesn't. Illusions never have power. If you're shadow boxing, how back in the day they teach you how to box. You'd shine a big light and you'd like kind of box with yourself. But at no time can that shadow hit you. It can't. It's impossible. You can imagine that it will, and you can pretend and you can do all the movements, but at no time are you in any danger. At no time are you in any danger of the illusion hurting the truth of who you really are. So it has no choice. True power comes only when you realize that there is no true choice in reality. This destroys the whole idea of, what's it called? The idea that you have two choices. No, free will. Thank you. It destroys the illusion of free will. You can imagine that you have that. You can imagine that there are two choices, and in doing so, you will create a world in which that seems to have power or reality. All this is saying is that in the end, there is only one. In the end, you are whole, you are perfect, you are as God created you. Isn't that something that brings you joy? It should. You are as God created you. There's nothing you can do to change that. You can imagine a change and imagine that that change has power, and in doing so, make it seem as if you can be hurt as you shadow box. But shadows cannot hurt you. Okay, so true power comes only when you realize that there is no true choice in reality. There is only one. And what is and remains forever one is beyond your ability to change. What is and remains forever one is beyond your ability to change. Recently, I was watching a movie that came out probably in the 80s, I think, City Slickers. Remember that movie? And there's the great character. Oh, Judy, you keep getting unmuted. I don't know how that happens, but there's a great character played by Jack Palance, who's the crusty old cowboy who's going to be guiding them and this adventure. And at one point, he says something very profound. He says, the secret of life, I think he says, there's only one, or something to that effect. And of course, the Billy Crystal character says, there's only one what? And he just walks away. There's only one. That's what this is saying. There's only one. In the end, you don't really have a choice. You can imagine that you have a choice. You can imagine that you can be hurt, and certainly the body can be hurt, but that's not who you really are. That's not your reality. And the more we just let that take care of itself, do what the body does, be in the world but not of the world, you come into a direct experience of that reality. And that's the only reason we're here, to have a direct experience, which is what we were talking about before, when suddenly your eyes are open. You didn't realize that your eyes were closed until your eyes are open. Okay, one bit more. Recognizing this should bring you great joy because it completely removes the ego's dominance. It completely removes it. The ego's version of reality is replaced by God's and remains where it has always been. You remain where you have always been as well, which is a state of such grace and holiness that the world of separate forms disappears completely. You remain where you have always been, which is a state of grace and holiness that the world of separate forms completely disappears. Why hide from that which your soul is longing for? Why deny the only experience that sparks the memory of the heaven that you never actually left? We have come to the brink of that cliff. We stand there, still wondering, if I take that final step, will I fall or will I fly? But it's only when you take that final step, when you decide to trust this, that the wings spread and you fly. There's nothing to be afraid of. And as we come together and join every day in this experience, you begin to feel that confidence welling up inside of you. You begin to feel calm and ready to take that step because we do it together. We're joining together in that single reality, the single experience of who you really are and have always been. And that's exciting. Why would you want to go anywhere else? And you can go wherever you want, it doesn't matter, but keep joining in this experience, because it's like you've been filled with weights right? And every time we join together and say yes to that experience, it's like we throw off one weight, then we throw off another, and we just keep throwing them off, which are all our beliefs, our inabilities to forgive. All of these things are being discarded. And as they do, guess what happens? We rise. We begin to lift. So, Victoria, I'm going to turn over to you now. I gave you a little bit to work with and would love to hear what you have to share.
Well, thank you, Brother James. Good morning, everybody. So nice to see everybody. Well, first of all, I'm going to have to go look for The Chosen. That was a great promo for that.
Oh, Vicky, you'll love it. That's your kind of
Will I
show.
love her?
It's your kind of
Sometimes I
show.
don't. All right, I'm going to check it out and let you know.
Just go to YouTube and type in The Chosen, season 1. It'll come right up.
All right, I will. In my little anchor hold, I'll go right to YouTube. Thank you. And so it made me think of 3 ways that we recognize and know when we're in that knowing. And thank you, Scott, for that song. Be still, and know. First is I trust, because I've had this experience and I recognize it in my brothers when I see them. We came in with an awareness and a knowing, many of us, not all of us, but we came in with a readiness to let this divine consciousness come to the surface. And our life has been about the story of welcoming that consciousness in the face of still separation beliefs, ego beliefs. And all of this, the characters in our storyline have helped us or seemingly delayed us, which was probably the greatest help. I've seen that. And if that's why I'm not a natural little kid person, but I'm now with young grandchildren. So my greatest joy, though, is to tap into that place in them where they know, because it reminds me of how I knew and still do know, and somehow gratefully kept it, no matter what anyone said, no matter what the nuns or the priests or anyone said. I knew deep in me with certainty that Jesus was my brother, and he was always with all of us, teaching us to be just like him. And that this was that time. This was the time when many that chose to could be just like him. And in this awakening, we're in a grand awakening experience together, and it is grand. So if we tap into our childhood experience, I do trust many of us will find that. Maybe that's why we are drawn together. We came in with a collective readiness that is now flowering. The other way, be still and know. Like yesterday's message from the master teacher within, or that we're doing, be still. In stillness, even if it's an experience does not arise immediately, even if you think it's boring, when I find I make space to be still, and a realization somehow floats to the surface, it's always a miracle to me. And it may happen later when I'm doing the dishes or taking a walk. It may not happen at the time I sit to be still. So being still is nothing but not engaging the ego chatter of this or that, too, whatever it is. Move here, move there, do this, do that. Disengage completely. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. When we think right-mindedly, there are no choices in the illusion. Choose this illusion or that illusion. Each illusion won't get you to the train station. It'll take you in a circle to get back to the same spot. Be here now. And in this spot, the only choice we ever have is who's going to be the guide. Who's going to be the guide? My thinking mind can't guide me out of a paper bag. I've seen that. But when I turn to the spirit within, as you can see too, it makes me fall flat in my face. But the spirit within, the Holy Spirit within is there. I'm not always able and willing to listen. And I recognize that. I will, in my best state, I can still put up a barrier and block. But what I can do is still be still. Just be still. And when there's a willingness in me, it will rise up. It will come into recognition. But that quiet time often takes physical quiet time, as well as when we are engaged in the world and the market, not to busy our minds with lists and this and doing and that, but especially to be still and be present wherever we are. That's all being still is, not engaging the thinking mind. Just, okay, okie dokie, here I am. I'm really going to, I guess, intentionally be present, intentionally walk, talk, enjoy. The biggest thing I'm saying is the gift of enjoying the present moment. I've missed a lot lately because I've been busy and not been very quiet sometimes. And the gift of enjoying is another way to bring presence or the voice of the spirit into awareness. The other way, so to know what we know, so often from childhood or whenever it comes, to know that the invisible is real, that there's an invisible world of unity that is everything. What James said, one instant in that experience, and you know none of this matters. There's no contest, none. You just know that. Being still, if that doesn't, that's what we call a holy instant in the Course in Miracles. A holy instant is that shift into invisibility that's more visible because it's a full visibility of everything joined. It's frequency, it's vibration, it's that pitch of love. And then the third way that I see is wherever I am, love. Love. Don't just don't worry about it. Just love, a pet, the person in front of you, the situation, and give wholeheartedly. Because in the wholehearted giving, we make space for the light in us to rise to the surface. It's almost mechanical. It's like this is the engineering of Christ consciousness in us. When we love, we empty ourselves in the moment of trying to get anything, fix anything, solve anything. And we are wholly receptive because our arms are giving whatever it is we have, our attention, our listening, a flower in our hand. So when I find if I can stay in those modes, and when I cannot, I can always access one of them. I can love right now wherever I am, in spite of myself, because the ego loves to slip right back in the back door, and that's okay. The greatest gift I found out is, so what? It's like, okay, so what? Spirit's right here, right now. The truth of us that we know to be so is, it can't be hurt. It needs no defense, needs nothing. So I'll slip right back into, here I am, Lord. So what? Now what? Show me next. Here I am. How can I just generously give and love? If there's a way to gather and to help one another. The thing I remember when I was in the hospital a couple of weeks ago, the only request I had, and James, you had just done it the day before on being truly helpful. This overwhelming knowing in me came, I want to be here to be truly helpful. I want to help, whether it's Teddy and Alicia, my brothers everywhere. I want to be truly helpful. That's an unequivocal call to let our divine mind come into our awareness. And that, sometimes it happens in critical situations where we're faced with what looks like dying or physical challenge of some sort. And sometimes it just comes because we're tired of everything we've ever tried before. We're tired of going around the mulberry bush to find the train station. And there's nothing else we want. But wanting to be truly helpful isn't a way of service. People in the old language has been to serve. It is serving, but it's more than serving. It's celebrating, it's enjoying, it's loving, it's giving, it's gathering in. And so those are the ways that I'm experiencing. And we are all experiencing together. So thanks everyone for coming to this morning's party. And it's back to you, Brother James. I love you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicky, as always. And it's funny how we can share as we both have, and maybe just one little kernel will break through, one beam of light will penetrate, and that's all we need. Follow that. So the one thing that you said, Vicky, that really hit me were the words, so what? Now what? We've used the word so what, just so what? All of these things happen, they come, they go, they slip in, they slip out. So what? But now what? What's the next step? Where do we go with this now? So, Scott, I'm going to invite you, if you would like to help us close with a song called So What? Now What?
So what?
I love throwing things to him and he just, whoop, there it is. So, Scott, so what? Now what? Take it away.
I was sitting with my eyes closed, deep in meditation, pretending I was into concentration. Then James has called me up and said, Scott, write a song called So What? Now what? Now what? It means shrug your shoulders and let things go. Don't give them the meaning that you think you know. You don't know a thing. And this is how you find your wings and rise with me in the land of so what? Now what? Bring present now. Laughing your illusions off your shoulders. Don't make a holy cow out of nothing. It's a turkey without stuffing. An empty vessel you and me can be. We can be empty and let the universe fill us up with love for free.
Wow, as always. Just amazing. Okay, so see how many times you can say so what today. Whenever a separating thought comes into your mind or a judgment or anything, just I like to do a little swish move like this. So what? Just swish it away. And it works. Then come back to wholeness. Come back to love. It's so simple. So thank you, everyone. We'll close by saying Amen, 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 y punto. And so it is. Have a beautiful day. We love you so much. Namaste.
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 Love you.
Love you too, Jane.